Hello, everyone, and welcome to the partnership section. You do not need to watch this section unless you are doing or potentially interested in doing this course with a loved one, a family member, a friend, or a partner. So if you are doing this journey or considering doing this journey with a partner, it is very, very important. A couple pieces of this folder, the partnership option, are going to be critical to know that they exist, one, and to complete them and put them into play. Okay. So we're starting on Module 2001, the Blueprint Journey as a Partnership. Choosing to walk this path together. Choosing to embark on the Codex journey with your partner is one of the most intimate, transformative, and courageous decisions that you can make. It's a choice to not only understand yourself more deeply, but to invite another person into that unfolding as well. Done consciously, it has the power to strengthen your bond, deepen trust, and dissolve long-standing patterns and open new layers of love that many couples never reach. But, there is a but, it is important to begin with honesty. This is not light work, and you're going to soon find out that the first honest decision that you're going to need to make is, are we really ready for this? Because I did include something that is going to lay it out for you whether or not you are. You're only going to get the right answer out of it if you are honest. So please be honest about whether or not you're ready for this, because if you're not, it can backfire. It is worth it to wait until you're ready. Okay. It's important to begin with honesty. This is not light work. It is vulnerable, raw, and deeply revealing. It will bring unspoken truths to the surface. It will ask you both to hold space for each other's wounds without trying to fix them. It will require courage to look at yourselves and each other with compassion instead of blame. So a promise that you'll need to make to yourself and each other is you're not going to use this to throw anything in one another's face. That makes it immediately not a safe space and immediately cancels out a lot of the work that can only be done in a safe space. Because of that, the first agreement must always be choice. Not, hey, we're going to do this, but hey, we're both choosing, we're both interested, we're both ready, we're both desiring to engage in this journey. Both people need to want to do this. If one person is hesitant or resistant, the work can feel like pressure instead of intimacy. If that's the case, it is better to walk this path individually for now and return to it later together if it feels aligned. So we're going to listen to the audio that's at the bottom of this page, the Blueprint Journey as a Partnership. What you're about to step into as a couple is not just a shared project. It's a shared initiation. The Blueprint Codex was never meant to be surface level work. And doing it side by side with someone that you love magnifies that even more. It means you're choosing to grow not only as individuals, but also as a living system. And I just want to say this right from the start. This is not easy work. It will pull hidden stories into the light. It will reveal patterns you've both built your relationships upon. Some beautiful, some painful. It will stretch you to see each other with new eyes and, at times, to sit with truths that are uncomfortable. But the gift of this journey is that what lies on the other side of that discomfort is a bond that's rooted in deeper honesty. A love built on choice rather than expectation. And a partnership that grows instead of loops. Here's what I want you to hold on to as you begin. The first and most important agreement is that you both choose this. Not one of you doing it to fix the other, not one dragging the other along. True transformation happens when both people say yes by their own free will. If one of you isn't ready, that's not failure, it's wisdom. You can walk this individually, build your foundation, and revisit the shared path when it feels more aligned. That's an option. If you are both ready, then let this be a practice of conscious witnessing. That means you won't always have answers for each other. You won't always know what to say, and that's okay. Your role is not to solve. Your role is to see, to listen without judgment, to hold space for your partner's unfolding without rushing them toward a version of themselves that you prefer. Healing in partnerships is not about fixing each other. It's about remembering how to stand beside each other as you both grow. There will be days when one of you feels open and the other feels closed. Days when one wants to dive deeper and the other needs to pause. That's normal. That's part of the dance. The key is communication. Check in often. Use curiosity instead of criticism. And when you're in doubt, return to the agreement that brought you here. This is a shared journey, not a shared destination. And above all, remember this. Walking the Codex path together is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about choosing again and again to meet yourselves and each other in truth. And truth isn't always comfortable. It's about learning how to love not just the parts of each other that are easy, but also the parts that are still healing. If you can hold that intention close, if you can remember that this is sacred work that you're choosing together, then this journey has the power to not only transform your relationship, but to make it a place where both of you are free to become who you truly are and feel safe in doing so. Look at each other and hold eye contact for however long you feel called to when I say what I'm about to say. You are not just walking side by side. You are learning how to build something that evolves with you. And that is the real heart of the work. Okay, so if you listen to that audio together, you can listen to it all the way through and continue that intimate moment. But we're going to go into the next step of the partnership option. So over here, Module 3002, Foundational Agreement for a Blueprint Partnership and Check-in Prompts. There's also an audio down here in which we're going to go over everything, but we're going to read this part out as well because this part is very, very important. If you feel hesitant to agree to any of these, even just a little, I need you to pause. I need you to write about it, talk about it, think about it, sleep on it. Any hesitation to any of these, think of these as the pillars of a foundation. You can have 3 very strong, very sturdy pillars. If that 4th one is not sturdy, that house could fall down. We don't want any houses falling down here, okay? We want to build them up. We want to make them stronger. We do not want the opposite to happen. So if there is any hesitancy or any disagreement to any of these, I am telling you right now, my face to your face, If you can't agree to these, the blueprint at this point is likely going to hurt your relationship more than it is going to help it. And going forward, not agreeing with any of these is you agreeing to hurt the relationship instead of help it. We don't want to do that. That doesn't sound good, right? You're not flawed or at fault if you don't agree with any of these, but do it individually until you can understand why I put these in play. Because if you don't understand them now, get a little bit into the course and you're going to understand why I put them in play. I was very specific about these, very intentional about these, okay? Very intentional about everything, but specifically these, because I don't want to invite people to do this together if it's going to be something that's going to damage relationships. So my gatekeeping of it is, do you agree to these in the context of whomever you're doing this with? Okay, so I just wanted to really highlight the importance of that. So before you begin, sit down and discuss these core agreements. Number one, it's us versus the issue, not us versus each other. You and your partner versus whatever you're up against, never you two versus each other because of whatever you're up against. This journey is not about proving who is right or wrong. It's about uncovering the patterns, beliefs, and wounds that stand between you and deeper connection. If conflict arises, and it may, pause and remind yourself the problem is the pattern, not the person. Again, you and your partner versus the issue, never you versus your partner. Number two, we are both responsible for our own healing. You are not here to fix or to save one another. You're here to witness and to support one another while taking ownership of your own individual growth. You can't do this journey for someone else. You're not connected to their blueprint. You may be a part of it. You may be a very paramount part of their life. You are not the one connected to their blueprint. They are. So each individual needs to do this journey for themselves. You can absolutely have that witness and support, but you still need to do the work for yourself. It cannot be done for you by the other person. The moment you try to heal your partner, the dynamic shifts from intimacy to control. That is self-explanatory, but I will further explain. When you're holding space for someone, it's a safe space for intimacy, for growth, for depth. When you are trying to do for them, it's no longer you holding space for them, it's you putting them into the space you've created for them. Totally different. Vulnerability is a gift, not a weapon. Anything shared in the context of healing is sacred. It is never to be thrown back during arguments or used as ammunition. If you cannot honor this, you're not ready to walk this path together. It's really that simple. If you feel, or if at any point it happens where you're taking stuff that was intimately discussed in the context of the codex and you're using it in an argument, or you're using it to get your way, or you're using it to one up, it's not data to be taken and used for anyone else's benefit other than the person doing the work. So if you feel like there's any point where you may or you have taken something that was intimately shared and used it in an argument, even if the intention wasn't to harm, that's a boundary that you need to make for yourself. Can I stay on this side of it and not do that? If you start doing that, if your partner starts doing that, it is time to take a break. 100%. And if it becomes harmful, pause. It's not failure. If the work starts creating more division than connection, if it turns into you versus them, stop. Take space, do the course separately if you want, take a break if you want. Healing should never cost you your relationship's safety. And that is why these 4 pillars are necessary agreements in order to do this course as a partnership. Now, I did also list here, and it's also available at the bottom as a PDF. optional daily check-in prompts, and optional weekly check-in prompts. I recommend, you might not have time to do it daily. Let's be realistic, right? If you can throw in 2 a week of the daily and 1 a week of the weekly, I'm happy with that. Okay. I don't expect there to be this much time because you're doing these check-ins then on top of the other work, which significantly increases the time spent. So if you have extra time, sure. Is it going to add depth? Absolutely. But do you have to feel like you're doing something wrong if you're not doing these daily check-ins? No. I understand that life happens and that's not necessarily always realistic, okay? But they are available for if and when you need them. And maybe you only use them when you feel like you need them. That's okay too. You can print out the PDF that's at the bottom and have that in your codex for a template. That is either write it or print it is my suggestion. So the daily check-in prompts are: what emotion was most present for you today? What did you learn about yourself today? How can I support you better right now? Did anything I say today trigger you? If so, how can we talk about it safely? And what's one small way I can make you feel more loved tomorrow? Now, I specifically put 5 for each of these because a lot of people will have a die, 6-sided die. There's 5 for each of these, okay? So if you want to just do a quick check-in, roll the die, see which one is most important. If you roll a 6, maybe you just need to ask, what should I be asking you? Or how can I best receive what you need to do? You need to just tell me something, okay? Like, come up with some kind of platform for yourself on how to do that. But if you want to just do one of them, you can quick grab a 6-sided die, roll it, and it tells you which question is best asked. And then for the weekly check-in prompts, we have: what patterns are we noticing between us lately? What has felt easier or lighter between us this week? Where did we feel disconnected and how can we repair that? What do we need from each other the coming week? And what's one thing we're proud of ourselves for as individuals and or as a couple? So anytime you need them, they are available. The power of choosing this together. Doing this work side by side is not about becoming perfect partners. It's about becoming conscious ones. It's about witnessing each other's unfolding with reverence, standing beside one another as the old stories fall away, and remembering again and again that you are allies, not adversaries. You will learn how to communicate without defense. That is the goal here. How to hold space without needing to fix, another big goal, and how to love without conditions. And I feel like loving without conditions is more about learning to love yourself without the conditions that limit you in terms of showing up for yourself so you can best show up for the other person. So that kind of works both ways there. And you will see each other and yourself more clearly, not just for who you are, but for who you're becoming. And if at any point this work begins to bring up more than you can hold together, that's not a failure, it's wisdom. It's the invitation to pause, breathe, and decide how to best protect the love that brought you here. Maybe that's taking a break. Maybe it's doing it separately for a certain time and revisiting at a later date. That's not failure. Because this journey at its core is about healing alone or healing together. It's about remembering every path you walk, whether side by side or separately, is still leading both of you home. Okay, so these PDFs are printouts of the partnership agreements, which we're going to go over now. Okay, so the first one, we have the check-in prompts, which again is just both of those prompts as a template that you can very easily print out and put in your codex. And then the other one is a printout of those agreements. If you are doing this as a partnership, I really do recommend printing this out or having it somewhere just so it's quick reference. Maybe put it on the fridge. These are, again, the pillars, very important to build on. Okay, now we're going to listen to the check-in prompt audio. Before you begin this journey together, I need you to pause and remember. This is not about becoming the perfect couple or perfect partnership. It's about becoming a conscious one. What you're stepping into is not another relationship exercise or a list of communication tips. This is a sacred initiation into seeing each other and yourselves more deeply than ever before. And the only way that works is if you walk it with intention. The first foundational agreement is this: it is us versus the issue, not us versus each other. This path is going to bring things to the surface, patterns that you've been repeating without even realizing it, old wounds that you've both been carrying, stories that shaped how you show up for love. When they rise, you may feel tempted to turn on one another, to blame, to defend, to prove who's right. But that is not the work. The work is remembering that the problem is not the person. The problem is the pattern. So when conflict arises, just pause. Look at the two of you not as opponents, but as teammates staring down the same dragon. It's not you against them, it's both of you against what stands between you. The second agreement is we are both responsible for our healing. You cannot fix each other. You can't save one another. And the truth is that you're not meant to. What you can do is witness. You can stand beside one another as each of you does the work of returning to your own wholeness. Your own. You can hold space while the other peels back old layers and remembers who they are beneath them. But the moment you try to heal your partner, that's the moment that the dynamic shifts from intimacy to control. This journey only works when each person takes ownership of their own path, while offering presence and compassion along the way. The third agreement is that vulnerability is a gift, not a weapon. Everything that is shared in the context of healing is sacred. Every truth, every story, every trembling admission is an offering. And once it's shared, it must be held with reverence. It is never to be thrown back during arguments or used as ammunition. If you cannot honor each other's vulnerability, the trust required for transformation cannot grow, and it will not. And without trust, the work can't unfold, not as it's meant to. So if you're not ready to truly hold each other's hand gently, it's better to pause and return to this work when you are. Which leads us into our fourth agreement. If it becomes harmful, pause. There's a difference between discomfort and harm. Discomfort is a sign that something is shifting. Harm is a sign that something is breaking. If this work starts creating more division than it does connection, if it begins to erode the safety or turn you versus them, then stop. Take space. Do the course separately. Healing should never cost you the foundation of safety that every relationship needs. Choosing to pause is not failure. It's wisdom. It's love, both for yourself and the other person. It's the recognition that both of you deserve to feel safe as you grow. To support you, I invite you to use the optional but suggested, there's daily check-in prompts and there's a weekly check-in. These are short, honest questions meant to deepen communication and give you a basis of where each of you stands. Once a week, 30 to 60 minutes for a deeper check-in with that weekly check-in will do you a lot of good in the long run. Typically, I say, with this course, only choose what doesn't add stress, what doesn't feel like a burden. I stick true to that here, but I highly suggest incorporating at least the weekly check-in if you are doing this as a partnership. Even if that does add a little bit of stress in the short term, it can save you a lot of stress in the long run to make sure that you're creating a space to check in and make sure that each of you are still on the same page. And it's really important to remember that these conversations are never about fixing. They're about witnessing, holding space. They're about creating a container where truth can rise without fear. The power of choosing this journey together lies in what it reveals. You'll learn how to communicate without defense, how to hold space without needing to fix, how to love without conditions. You'll begin to see each other not just for who you are now, but for who you're becoming. And if at any point the work brings up more than you can hold together, it's not a sign of failure. It's the invitation to pause, to breathe, and to protect the love that brought you here in the first place. This path is not about healing alone or healing together. It's about remembering that every step, whether it's side by side or separately, it's still leading you home, to yourselves, to each other, and to the deeper truth that love is not built on perfection. It's built on presence. So bring these agreements with you as you begin and throughout the whole journey. Let them be the soil in which trust can grow, the compass that keeps you oriented toward connection, and the reminder that this work is not about reaching a destination. It's about learning how to walk the labyrinth together, one honest, courageous step at a time. Okay, so this is essentially like the orientation part of the partnership section. In a separate video, we're next going to go into the self-readiness checklist because I want that to be a separate video. So if you are viewing this video from the 001 folder, the next video you're going to find is going to be in the 003 folder. So go over this page very thoroughly. I recommend printing this out or writing it down, even if you just write down the first sentences. I think it's very paramount to be seeing at least weekly, okay? I have a check-in with these foundational agreements at least weekly. So in the next video, again, we're going to be going into the self-readiness checklist, which if you're doing this as a partnership, basically consider this a requirement. You need to know if you're ready for it. So that's what we'll be going into next.